Well, something very interesting in the news happened this morning. I don't know if any of you saw this, but there was a rocket launch that was launched from down in South America, and it's kind of a big deal. This was a story from, actually it was a story from Wednesday, but then it's been updated a few times because they had delays in this launch. This, I'm going to read this Yahoo story titled NASA's James Webb Telescope seeks to capture images of the first galaxies and stars in the universe. And it says, NASA's much anticipated and much delayed launch of the James Webb Space Telescope is set for Saturday, that's today, on Christmas actually, when it will lift off, housed in the nose cone of Ariane 5 rocket from a launch site in Corral, French Guiana. And it was launched this morning, it did go up. The James Webb Space Telescope is an Apollo moment for all of NASA, for the entire world, but especially for our science programs worldwide. Thomas Zurbuchen, Associate Administrator for the NASA Science Mission Directorate, said at a news conference earlier this week, "It's the stuff of dreams." Liftoff from the Guiana Space Center, it was at 6:20 a.m. our time here this morning, weighing a mere 13,700 pounds, the giant Next Generation Telescope, which is named after a former NASA administrator, will take 29 days to reach its destination. So it's going to go far out in orbit and complete a complex unfolding procedure. So it's got to fold out into a big shape. Months of calibration will follow before the telescope can begin taking photos of the early universe. Skipping down, it says Webb will be able to view a larger swath of the infrared spectrum than the Hubble Space Telescope launched in 1990 is able to observe. This difference allows Webb to see older light than Hubble, photograph the first stars created after the Big Bang, and see stars hidden behind clouds of space dust and gases. Webb features many scientific advancements, including a 5-layer sun shield, which is pretty amazing. It's saying it's the size of a tennis court, yet as thin as a human hair, this shield. And what's going to happen is so it's going to be, further away. It's going to be facing away from the sun, and it's going to have a shield behind it to keep the light from the sun from bothering it. So it's going to be able to, but that shield, like I said, is like a tennis court, but it's as thin as a human hair. And that thing has to fold out. This procedure is just pretty remarkable. To ensure the sun's infrared light or heat doesn't affect the infrared light being observed from the distant universe. It says the delicate operation of observing infrared light more than, and it says 170 billion years ago, but that's wrong. I don't know who put this in here, but they must mean, like maybe 17 at the max, more like 13 billion years ago, requires a first of its kind infrared sensor refrigerator, which NASA calls a cryocooler, to be kept extremely cold, like minus 448 degrees Fahrenheit cold, or just 12 degrees above the coldest possible point of matter, called absolute zero. So I think it's like 12 Kelvin. It's just crazy. The cold helps the telescope scientific instruments suppress infrared background noise, according to NASA. And then there's another article that I saw over at the Daily Mail about this, and this was, there was a sidebar in that article called James Webb Space Telescope, the next big orbital observatory deployed to search for alien life. It says primarily an infrared telescope, it will have a wider spectrum than Hubble. We just read that. But research by Ohio State University claims that within 5 years of it coming online, James Webb will have found signs of alien life on a distant world. Graduate student Caprice Phillips calculated it could feasibly detect ammonia created by living creatures around gas dwarfed planets after just a few orbits. The James Webb Telescope has been described as a time machine that could help unravel the secrets of the universe. It says that when it's launched in 2021, it will be the world's biggest and most powerful telescope, capable of peering back 200 million years after the Big Bang. The secrets of the universe. Well, brethren, today I'd like to bring some perspective to the world's search through scientific exploration and even personal faith to find the answers to the secrets of the universe. Where are those secrets to be found? Spoiler alert, it will come as no surprise to you. But It's something to think about and to be thankful for. And I've titled this, Seeking Answers Out There. Seeking Answers Out There. I'd like you to turn over to Ephesians 3. And while you're turning over there, I'm going to read something else to you. It's this main article that I just read the part of the sidebar from the Daily Mail, titled, NASA Looks to the Heavens for Help. Agency enlists 24 theologians to assess how the world would react to the discovery of alien life on distant planets and how it might change our perception of God's and creation. So it says NASA is looking, this was dated yesterday, NASA is looking to the heavens for help with assessing how humans will react if alien life is found on other planets and how the discovery could impact our ideas of God's and creation. The agency is hiring 24 theologians to take part in its program at the Center for Theological Inquiry at Princeton, which NASA gave $1.1 million in grants to in 2014. CTI is described as building bridges of understanding by convening theologians, scientists, scholars, and policymakers to think together and inform public thinking on global concerns. The program aims to answer questions that have baffled us since the beginning of time, such as, what is life? What does it mean to be alive? Where do we draw the line between the human and the alien? What are the possibilities for sentient life in other places? Now that NASA has 2 rovers on Mars, several probes orbiting Jupiter and Saturn, and is set to launch the James Webb Telescope, and they just did, it seems that the agency is hopeful it is on the right path to discovering life outside of Earth. And it needs a little help from above to help those of us living below to understand if that happens. The Reverend Dr. Andrew Davison, a priest and theologian at University of Cambridge with a doctorate in biochemistry from Oxford, is among 24 theologians, the Times reports. This is a quote from him. Religious traditions would be an important feature in how humanity would work through any such confirmation of life elsewhere, he shared in a blog. Because of that, it features as part of NASA's ongoing aim to support work on the societal implications of astrobiology, is life out in other planets and stuff. Davison is set to publish a book next year titled Astrobiology and Christian Doctrine, which he believes we're getting closer to finding life on other planets. Davison's book notes, the headline findings are that adherents of a range of religious traditions report they can take the idea in their stride. Non-religious people also seem to overestimate the challenges that religious people would experience if faced with evidence of alien life. In other words, a lot of religious people, that would be fine with alien life. Studies and surveys have shown that U.S. Christians are less likely to believe life exists on other planets, but Davison is not the only believer who does not think the idea of extraterrestrials is impossible. Now that this was interesting, it says, Duilia de Mello, an astronomer and physics professor at Catholic University, said she has several seminarians in her classes who often bring up theoretical questions about intelligent life in the universe. Quote, if we are the products of creation, why couldn't we have life evolving in other planets as well? By the way, what a weird question. If we're the products of creation, why can't we have life evolving on other planets? Think about that for a second. There's nothing that says otherwise, DeMello told the Washington Post in August. In 2008, the Vatican's chief astronomer said there is no conflict between believing in God and in the possibility of extraterrestrial brothers, perhaps more evolved than humans. Really amazing quotes here. In my opinion, this possibility of life on other planets exists, said Reverend Jose Gabriel Funes, a 45-year-old Jesuit priest who is head of the Vatican Observatory and scientific advisor to Pope Benedict. How can we exclude that life is developed elsewhere? Anyway, asked if he was referring to beings similar to humans or more evolved than humans, he said, certainly, in a universe this big, you can't exclude this hypothesis. Well, guess what? There are some beings that are maybe more advanced than humans. We read about them in the Bible. However, not all theologians are, and we're not talking about the kind of aliens that these people are talking about. We're talking about beings that are super intelligent. Anyway, it says, how can we continue here? It says, However, not all theologians are on board with the idea of life on other planets. Albert Mahler, president of the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, said in a 2008 interview about aliens, he said, "The answer is no. That's speculative. We have no reason to believe there is any other story out there. There is nothing in Scripture that says there can't be some form of life out somewhere, but what we are told is that the cosmos was created in order that on this planet, Jesus Christ, in space and time and history, would come to save sinful humanity." That's what this is about. The James Webb Telescope, this article says, which is set to launch Christmas Day, could, however, change the way we look at the universe and maybe what is written in scriptures of all religions. So anyway, I'm going to go here to Ephesians 3 now, where we're talking about the mysteries of the universe, or trying to solve these things. But the Bible talks about this. Look here in verses 8 through 10 of Ephesians 3. Paul says, "To me, who am less than the least of the saints, this grace was given, that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Christ, and to make all see what is the fellowship of the mystery." Some versions have, "what is the administration of the mystery," or the plan. What is the plan of the mystery, this secret plan, which from the beginning of the ages, going back to the beginning of the universe, has been hidden in God, who created all things, ta panta in the Greek, the all, the universe, through Jesus Christ, to the intent now that the manifold wisdom of God might be made known by the church to the principalities and powers in the heavenly places, even to angelic beings are hearing the truth proclaimed by the church. It is an amazing thing. So you want answers? You find them right here with God, the one who created all things. It's here that we find out both where we came from and where we're going, our past, our purpose, and our destiny, and the plan for getting us there. Moving forward on the basis of revealed origins relates very much to this very day. Now, I'm not talking about Christmas with its origins in pagan sun worship, but the weekly Sabbath, which recalls God's work as the creator of all things, along with our present and future redemption. This is truly a day worth celebrating. The truth of God setting us free. Turn over to Isaiah 40, if you will, for a look here too. Sadly, the world around us is missing out on this celebration as they unwrap their presents and are lost and blind in trying to find the answers, with increasing numbers in society totally ignoring the one who can give the answers being sought, and who has in fact already given the answers. He's already given them. Isaiah 40, verse 12, look here. "Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, measured heaven with a span, and calculated the dust of the earth in a measure, weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance?" Who has done all this? Verse 14, "With whom did he take counsel, and who instructed him and taught him in the path of justice? Who taught him knowledge and showed him the way of understanding?" Nobody. He knew it first. Verse 18, "To whom then will you liken God, or what likeness will you compare to him? The workman molds an image, or an idol it should be. The goldsmith overspreads it with gold, and the silversmith casts silver chains. Whoever is too impoverished for such a contribution chooses a tree that will not rot. He seeks for himself a skillful workman to prepare a carved image, or again, an idol that will not totter." And we see wooden idols being set up all throughout the land on this day. You get the Christmas tree, the worship of the creation, not the creator. As it says in Romans 1, this based on the movement of the solstice and the movement of the sun and the stars in the sky. This is all made by a great being that is far greater than all of these physical things. He is the one to praise. Verse 21, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is He," verse 22, "who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in." Verse 25, "To whom then will you liken me, or to whom shall I be equal, says the Holy One?" Verse 26, this is the key. "Lift up your eyes on high and see Who has created these things? These people are looking far out into the universe, trying to figure it all out. There is one who has made all of that, who brings out their host by number. He calls them all by name. By the greatness of his might and the strength of his power, not one is missing. Verse 27, why do you say, O Jacob, and speak, O Israel? My way is hidden from the Lord, and my just claim is passed over by my God. God doesn't see what's going on here. Have you not known, have you not heard? The everlasting God, the Lord, the creator of the ends of the earth, neither faints nor is weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. That is God's plan, to give ultimate power to those who are now weak. He is going to raise us up from this level so that we may receive the gift of his vast universe and eternal life with him as part of his family. He said in the beginning, in Genesis 1, let us make man in our image, to give them dominion. And he reiterated at the end of the Bible in Revelation 21, where he said, he who overcomes will inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. And how do we know that, brethren? From this book. From this book. We have the revelation of God's creation, but we're not going to make any sense of it looking out there without this direct guidance from God. We want to have the same desire for others that Paul had, and I'll just reference Colossians 2 through 3, where he says that their hearts may be encouraged, being knit together in love, and attaining to all riches of the full assurance of understanding, to the knowledge of the mystery of God, both of the Father and of Christ, in whom are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge. Trying to bend faith and pseudoscientism and false religious ideologies, to turn to all of that is utterly foolish. Scientists, religionists, and all people must come to embrace the truth that is plainly before us all. Again, Isaiah 40:26. Lift up your eyes and see who has made all these things. And that truth must guide our future, as it will in any case, one way or another. Our path to unlocking the secrets of the universe and inheriting the endless galaxies out there lies right here in this book, the Holy Word of God. What a gift we've been given. Brethren, a truly happy Sabbath to all of you.